Hi everybody, it's Dr. Erik with Full Potential Chiropractic, and welcome to our second Body Signals workshop, Boosting Your Immune System in 21 Days. We're in the height of flu season, and this is a good time to talk about ways that we can make ourselves healthier and better able to not succumb to the flu, both for the rest of this flu seasons and flu seasons to come. Now, some of the topics we're going to cover today get pretty dense, so I'm going to try to boil this down to keep it as simple as we can. Two basic concepts, things that we need to know and things that we need to do. There are also some big thoughts that I want you to keep in mind as we're going through tonight's workshop. So first of all, sickness is a part of health. Now that may seem kind of counterintuitive, but your body is smart and your body is designed to be healthy. When we get sick, the symptoms we feel when we're quote unquote sick is your body's way of mounting a defense against this virus, this bacteria, this pathogen that could potentially kill you to restore you to a state of health. And that's a great thing. Now, it's not always fun to deal with the symptoms of being sick, but sickness is a part of being healthy. Second off, I want you to think of your body as a car battery. Now, when you think of your car, you have all these different systems in the car to make your ride a more enjoyable experience. You have your air conditioner, your radio, your heater, your power seats, all these different things that place a demand on the car's battery. And just like your car, your body has a lot of systems that are working together to keep you healthy. So you have your immune system, your cardiovascular system, your digestive system, all these systems that work together. They place a demand on the amount of energy you have, just like your car's systems place a demand on the car's battery. Your body only has so much energy to devote to different processes, so that's something else we want to keep in mind. In addition, you don't get sick, you do sick. So what I mean by that is a lot of times we get these symptoms, we get that fever, we get that achy body, we get all these symptoms that we have when we call ourselves quote unquote sick, but really the process that got us to that state is the things that we were doing, not taking care of ourselves, putting ourselves in a state of being more susceptible to succumbing to this foreign invader that your body has to mount this defense against. And that's what I mean by we don't get sick, we do sick. I want you to think of your health as a bonfire. A bonfire needs three essential things to burn. It needs fuel, it needs air, it needs a ignition source, a spark. So when we apply that concept to your immune system, the fuel is the food we eat, the things we put into our body. The air is our movement. It's the integrity of the motion of our joints. The spark is what this is all about. It's getting us thinking about things that we can do to be healthier and live healthier lives. When it comes to food, this is what I need you to know. Think back to our analogy of your body being a car battery. Your immune system places a large demand on the amount of energy that your body uses. So the vitamins, the minerals, the nutrients that we get through our foods, when your immune system is working properly, it's utilizing a lot of these nutrients. So we need to replace those nutrients with quality whole food sources and avoid toxic foods. So your quality whole food sources, think your vegetables, your fruits, your whole grains, and quality cuts of meat. Toxic foods are more like the boxed foods, your processed foods, your refined things. So the things that typically sit on a shelf, long shelf life, come in a box. So what do we need to do when it comes to food? Think simple foods, nutrient-rich foods, and drinking plenty of water. So the closer the food is to its natural state, typically the better it is for you. The further we remove it from that state, i.e. we process it, refine it, repackage it into this convenient microwave dinner, the more nutrient deficit it is. This brings us to the concept of sugar. Now this can get pretty complex, so I'm going to try to keep this simple. Basically, we have part of our immune system are cells known as leukocytes. Try to think of them as little Pac-Men that go around in your bloodstream. They recognize things that aren't supposed to be in there. They gobble them up and utilize their individual components for something that's more productive in your body. Leukocytes rely heavily on vitamin C to function properly. Now, sugar structurally is very similar to vitamin C. your brain ultimately runs on sugar. So your body is programmed through insulin to intake this sugar. It prefers to intake the sugar versus vitamin C. So the basic concept here is if you have an excess of sugar in your bloodstream, you can actually diminish the ability of these leukocytes, these little Pac-Men that go around gobbling up the bad things, just by virtue of having too much sugar in your system. This is what we need to do when it comes to sugar. We need to reduce it. Always we need to reduce the overall amount of sugar that we're taking in. When we're sick, when we're actively doing sick, we need to avoid it completely. And then we need to resolve to try to limit it in our lives. So now let's talk about sleep. When we're talking about sleep, close your eyes. I need to paint a picture here. So think back to long ago, the days of our ancestors when we were doing the hunter-gatherer thing. Because that's really when our lifestyles were more in tune to how our bodies are designed to function. So we have our pineal gland. That's a gland in our brain that's very light sensitive. When the light goes away, i.e. the sun sets, it starts transforming serotonin into melatonin. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter in the brain that ultimately makes us feel happy and alert and active. Melatonin is the exact opposite. It's the one that basically starts to shut everything down, calm everything down, prepare us for sleep. That naturally happens as we transition from daytime to nighttime. Now, when we're sleeping, there's different stages of sleep. There's what's called REM sleep, REM sleep. That's rapid eye movement. That's the part of sleep that when we first start going into sleep, we tend to have dreams. And if we were to wake up during them, we tend to remember those dreams. Then we transition to a more central phase of it where we're kind of in between this REM and non-REM sleep. And as we go deeper into the night and earlier into the morning, that's when we're in the non-REM cycle. And during this non-REM cycle, that's when our body's doing most of its healing, repair work. And that's really the most beneficial of stage of sleep for us to be in. So let's talk a little bit about cortisol. Cortisol is ultimately a stress hormone. Now, back in the picture of the hunter-gatherer, they naturally had a spike of cortisol first thing in the morning because ideally that's when you want to be alert. You're getting ready to go out and hunt and gather and be active. Other times they would see a spike in cortisol would be like if they encounter a bear in the woods and that bear is coming after them, some kind of acute stressor where they need that sympathetic response, i.e. that fight or flight response. Now, the normal cortisol cycle is as the day progresses, the sun starts to go down, the cortisol levels go down, and that's when your pineal gland is converting the serotonin to melatonin, and that's promoting that sleep cycle. Now, in today's society, we have elevated levels of stress pretty much all the time. So we have all this psychological stress, this emotional stress, this social stress, all these stressors from our jobs, our lives, our busy lifestyles. And that's elevating our cortisol levels throughout the day. And these things just aren't going back down. And then we get into patterns that disrupt our sleep, that disrupt our pineal gland's ability to convert serotonin to melatonin, i.e. our technology, our laptops, our computer screens, our cell phones, our tablets, our TVs, all these things that we typically do as we are getting later into the evening and sitting down and quote unquote relaxing. We're exposing ourselves to this artificial source of light that's disrupting our pineal gland conversion of serotonin to melatonin. And that's ultimately having an impact on our immune system because sleep is when our body kind of resets everything and it does its repair work and healing work. So I realized those last couple slides got a little bit dense, and in the interest of trying to keep things simple, I may not have did the best job of relaying that information, but ultimately it boils down to what do we need to do about sleep? In terms of your maintaining a healthy immune system, we need to be getting plenty of quality sleep. 7 to 8 hours a night is what is recommended. And in addition to that, we want to keep that on a pretty consistent schedule, i.e. going to bed at the same time every night and waking up at the same time every night. Second of all, it is recommended that we fast before we go to bed. Ideally, half an hour to an hour. If not, if you really want to be serious about it, say after dinner, from that point on, we stay away from our electronic devices like our cell phones, our laptops, our tablets, our computers, our TVs, all these things that produces artificial form of light that disrupt our bodies or our pineal gland's ability to convert serotonin to melatonin. And then there is something beneficial to be said about napping every day. Now, the concept of the siesta, the nap at lunchtime, as it were. Think back to the picture of our ancestors. They wake up in the morning. They have that spike in cortisol. They're out, they're active, they're gathering, they're hunting, they're doing things. But as the sun reaches its peak, that 11 to 1 to 2 peak hours of sunlight, they know that it's not so good to be out in the bright hot sun, so they go home, they get some lunch, they eat some food, and then they typically rest. Now, when we're talking about napping every day, even something as short as a quick power nap, 8 minutes to 20 minutes, that is definitely very beneficial for helping to reset and keep your immune system primed. So, exercise. I know for some of us, maybe many of us, this is a 4-letter word. Now, I want to give us some encouragement here because the studies that are showing the benefits that we get from exercising are actually talking about relatively a small amount of activity. They're looking at basically the equivalent of walking about 3 miles an hour for a half hour 3 times a week, which in the grand scheme of things is not that much activity. Now, for those of us that choose to engage our bodies more, the benefits are going to be exponential from there depending on what you're doing. So rather than get too bogged down in that, let's talk more about what we need to do when it comes to exercise. First of all, if your body is telling you to not move, don't move. Basically, listen to your body. When you're sick, when you're fighting something, it's time for you to rest, and that's an important thing to acknowledge. It's going to be counterproductive to go and try to hit the gym when you're in the middle of fighting some kind of a bug. The other thing is timing. We want to ideally not necessarily be doing this exercise late in the evening towards bedtime because that kicks up everything. And even though you might be physically exhausted, your body is still very, very active. So the ideal time to exercise is actually early in the morning, earlier on in the day. Stress. Stress is something we all deal with on a day-to-day basis. And really there are 3 types of stress. There's physical stress, there's chemical stress, and there's mental stress. Mental stress is really the killer of all because that has physical repercussions on your body and it creates chemicals in your body that are pro-inflammatory and cause problems. The stress hormones, i.e. the cortisol that we talked about earlier, that's one of the stress hormones. And all this chronic stress that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis has the impact of impairing our body's immune system and its ability to keep us healthy. So what do we do about stress? Well, here's some of the things we can do. First of all, unplug. Just unplug. Don't look at Facebook. Don't look at the things, the social media, the text messages, the email, all these things that can provoke stress in our lives. I come from the UP, and one of the things I love most about going back to visit where I grew up is we don't get good cell phone reception. So that's a great excuse for me to ignore all those stressors that I get with that handheld device. Laughter is also a huge, huge benefit for helping us cope and deal with stress. Laughter is the best medicine. I'm sure most of us have heard that, and it's true. There's a lot of stuff that goes on with laughter that helps our body to heal and cope with stress. So things we can do is surround ourselves with the people, the loved ones that we appreciate and make us laugh, and go out, see comedy, do anything that you find humorous and makes you laugh. And it's all about having the right attitude. Stress is going to happen. Stressful things are going to happen. There's a saying that I like. I want to say it was Dalai Lama that said that. If there's a solution to a problem, there's no point in worrying about it because the solution will eventually present itself. If there's no solution to a problem, there's no point in worrying about it because there's no solution, so there's really nothing you can do about it. And that's really just a way you can try to spin these things that are very stressful and overwhelming in your life to not take such a toll. Just let it go. Let it be like water off the duck's back. We just can't let these things overwhelm us to the point that they're dragging us down and compromising our immune system. Subluxation. You all knew that I was going to get to this topic sooner or later, and now's the time. So subluxation, our big fancy word for the bone that gets stuck out of alignment, ultimately putting stress and irritation on your nervous system and leading to the causes of disease and dysfunction. So subluxation causes soft tissue damage. This leads to local swelling and fixation of the joint, and that actually produces a concept called nociception, which is basically the noxious, the not good stimuli that goes to the brain. And when the brain's dealing with this concept of nociception, it's putting other things on the back burner, i.e. things like your immune system and things that you need to keep your body healthy. So what do we do about subluxation? You go see your chiropractor. Get your spine checked regularly for subluxation. Whether you're healthy or you're not healthy. When you're sick, when you're stressed, that's the time to get that extra adjustment. Get in there, clear that nerve irritation out, make sure the joints are functioning properly and in the right position, and the nervous system is functioning properly because there's not a bone out of place putting irritation on that nerve. And then ultimately, your life extension exercises. Everybody who goes through our program of care at Full Potential Chiropractic is given exercises and stretches to help improve the quality of their life and empower them with the ability to function better and train their body to hold the joints in the proper positioning once they're being realigned. Now let's talk about supplements. Ideally, in a perfect world, we would prefer everybody get their nutrients through whole food sources. But the reality of today is that's often not possible. And it is a good idea to reconcile these deficiencies through quality supplementation. Think of them as wellness supplements, things to help bolster, help give your immune system that extra nudge in the right direction to keep it functioning optimally. Now, some of the main supplements that we should all be taking are your omega-3 fatty acid fish oil supplement, a probiotic to help keep the gut flora happy and functioning like it's supposed to, whole food supplements, just a general whole food supplement to help make sure that we're getting all the required micro macronutrients and vitamins. Vitamin D is a very important one, especially here in Michigan, where basically vitamin D is something that our body produces naturally through exposure to sunlight. But here, where we often have a large part of the year, we don't have good access to quality sunlight. A lot of us are vitamin D deficient. So supplementing with a good quality vitamin D is very important for immune health. Some other ones that you might not have heard of, garlic. Garlic is very beneficial for the immune system, as is a herb called echinacea, which if taken regularly for a long period of time can help bolster your immune system as well. So to help summarize everything that we've talked about in the last 15 minutes or so, these are the things that we really need to focus on when we're already doing sick, i.e. we're sick. We want to make sure we rest. That's not the time to be hitting the gym. When you're sick, you need to rest and give your body time to recuperate. That includes sleeping as much as possible. Get into that deep non-REM sleep where your body's doing a lot of its repair work and recuperation. Get into the chiropractor, get that extra adjustment. Give your nervous system that extra edge to help it fight off these invaders that your body needs to get rid of before they kill you. Limit and avoid stressful situations. This isn't the time to be calling up the person that you always get in a fight with, or spending a lot of time going through your emails or reconciling your taxes or all that. This is not the time to give yourself those additional stressors, because they'll still be waiting for you when your body's recuperated. Sugar, absolute no-no. Stay away from it and don't take sugar in. Drink lots and lots of water. Keep yourself very hydrated. Eat simple, nutrient-dense foods. And a great way to get those nutrient-dense foods is through broths, soups, vegetable-based smoothies. Something that's easy for your body to process, that it doesn't have to devote a lot of energy to digestion, because you want your body using that energy for its immune system. Supplementation is a good idea always, but especially when you're fighting something. And the idea is, if you're taking your supplements, you're doing all these things as you're healthy, when you're not, quote unquote, doing sick, your body will not get to the point that it's sick. And then ultimately, like all forms of healing, you need to give your body time to recuperate. I mean, that's just a general rule. Whenever you're dealing with any kind of healing, you need time. So that brings to a conclusion this webinar on how to help boost your immune system. I hope you guys found this educational, and feel free to like, to share, to add comments. We love to see your comments. We love to see your feedback. And we look forward to seeing you in the office and doing our part to help keep your body and your immune system functioning optimally through the flu season and throughout the rest of your lives.